You must have two.
Okay, it is now 6 o'clock on Wednesday, March 9th, 2022. So I call the meeting of the DeKalb Township Board of Trustees to order. Will the clerk please call roll?
Absolutely. Trustee King. Here. Present. Trustee Thurman. Here. Trustee McNutt. Here. Trustee Bradlow.
Present.
And Supervisor Hess.
Here. So let's, oh, and other present.
He said it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So we have a quorum present. So next we have the pledge. We'll all stand for the pledge. And Chief Burke, will you do the honor in leading us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have approval of the agenda. And so I would like to request a change in the order of the agenda to move new business to follow public comments and to move item IC of that, the proclamation, to presentations. Anyone have any objections to that? Hearing none, the agenda is set. So public comments we have here tonight are part of our presentation, so no public comments. So we'll skip down to new business. The first item, we're going to have a discussion first, and it is on the subject of expenditure for community outreach and public safety initiatives that serve DeKalb Township. So just kind of a bit of an overview. In the township code, there are a number of things that we are allowed to spend our public funds on. So for example, one of them is social services for the poor and aged. And as you know, we give out the agency grants to social service agencies every year to carry out services that benefit our community members. This year, or not this year, technically last year, you all voted on the library card program because we can provide library services. Another one of those is environmental. And so when we do our recycling events, those fall under environmental. So one of the other categories that we haven't touched on in the past is public safety. And so some of our townships to the east of here, the much larger townships, will have their own police departments, fire departments, emergency services. Obviously in DeKalb Township, we don't have the need for that because we already have those services. But just like we support library services, I'd like to bring to you tonight some options to support public safety. And so we have two different organizations here. And I reached out to both of them to see if, if there was a way that we could potentially work together. And so first I'm going to invite the representatives from Crime Stoppers to do a bit of a presentation on how we could potentially support their efforts. So if you'd like to just don't
Sure. I want to first, I'm Bill Davey, the president of the organization. I also work at the president of the North Operations of First State Bank here in town in Sycamore. But this is Jackie Shire. She's our branch manager, but she's also treasurer. She's on the board, but we had an untimely death of a president last year. Got an automobile accident. Pat Brennan, I don't know if any of you know him, but he was a longtime member of the club. But anyway, Jackie has the first part of the presentation here. It's a letter. I think it's in your
these are all here.
your documents there. But it was a letter we kind of made up to try to get some more funding because our funds are getting less and less over time. And it kind of tells about our present predicament. So Jackie, go ahead.
Hi there. Thanks for having us. I appreciate the opportunity. Just to give you a little bit of how it works is Crime Stoppers has been around for quite some time. We've been involved with them for probably 15 years at this point in the treasurer kind of capacity, helping them out, so forth and so forth. But we work with the DeKalb County Sheriff, local police officers and police departments. Through them, we have school resource officers that we work with as well. Pretty much in the background, our organization just kind of help support those police officers and those functions in that they get information regarding crimes of weapons, drug use, drug trafficking, unfortunately, sometimes murder. The police officers have informants come to them, and then we will pay out the rewards to them. It's totally anonymous. I say we're in the background. No one knows us. We don't know them. The officers will bring us the information, and then based on that information, we would pay out for that crime. Over the last couple of years, probably more so than anything, we've seen our funds dwindle away while crime has actually increased. So we're trying to kind of support all of those people and those functions, but we're looking for the community business owners and so forth to maybe help fund that so that we can further support them. Some of our funds come through restitution and fines, and that has been less and less coming to us. So we're kind of just reaching out to the community and seeing if we think we provide a valuable resource to them and offer support. Want to back them up and give them every tool we possibly can to help keep our community safer. So it's one way we're trying to do that, is just boost our funds so that we can continue to help police officers in that way.
Very good, thank you. If you look under the next, there's a small kind of history of the Crime Stoppers and how it began here in DeKalb County. Probably some of you may not have even heard of it. We're kind of in the background, but we do have to fundraise from time to time. Now we do put supplies. The bank, we have the money in our checking account and savings account at the bank. But when it comes time for a reward, we have a meeting every month, and the officers will bring together, and it could be DeKalb, Sycamore, or county police, whoever it is, a recommendation for a reward for an informant that they have, and we get the cash, put it in little envelopes, and then the officer picks it up. We don't ever see anybody. We don't see anybody, and there's no names involved. It just says, this is number 1527. It could be $100 or $200 or $300, depends on the nature of the crime that they're getting help with. So we do that, and then we hand that out. The meetings we have is every month at the sheriff's office right there in the county area. That we work with the state's attorney too. I think Jackie didn't mention, but the state's attorney is also with us, and they also, some of the crimes, part of their fine they actually get from the county can be sent to the Crime Stoppers, especially the ones that we help solve. So they do give us a little bit of money back, but that has dwindled over time because they find other uses for those fines that we used to get, but we don't get it much anymore. This started back in 1982. In fact, the Rockford Crime Stoppers is a big organization, and they got us started. And Sheriff Wilbur Scott, I think that's the other Roger Scott's brother, I guess, back in those times. But Roger just a longtime sheriff in DeKalb County. He just retired. Of course, he was kind of led our committee. Different people you might remember the name of Warren Ozenberg, or Pat Brennan was the treasurer. That's the guy that just passed away. And there's a number of people, directors there, that maybe older names that some of you may not be acquainted with. But it started as a kind of a grassroots effort. Several organizations, the Lions Club, and when they first got started, City of DeKalb was offered, the Sheriff's FOP Lodge, Hinckley Women's Club, and DeKalb Ag Research. Robert's family was big in the initial funding of the organization. Roberts being the DeKalb Ag people. We do have some fundraising events, but not as much as we like, but this one's talked about Mike Coughlin, who's an old state's attorney, but this is an old thing done by John Sietzema, who was a coordinator with the county police with us, but he was a detective with the police, but I think he's retired by now. Anyway, we think this is a good program. It's cost effective. If we get the money, usually the rewards are with $100 or $200. and the police really like it because many times the DeKalb police, but also the Sycamore police and the county was kind of started. The county starts it, but we always have officers from the different police departments come to our meetings also. So they're coming and they like our program and we like it too. There is a similar program for the high schools that we call the Quick 50, where they'll for $50 they'll can provide a contact where they work with the resource officer at the junior high, both junior highs, the Sycamore, DeKalb, and both high schools at DeKalb and Sycamore. So they would work with those people, and if they usually would find some weapons maybe brought to school or drugs or just what, usually those are the two things you'd see at schools. But I mean, we do from time to time get a reward for that. And we just drop the cash off at the school and it's handled to the high school or junior high through their principal or dean of students in cooperation with the resource officer. So, so it's all handled with the police departments in every place. We're just community members. I was kind of drafted into my position, my old coworker, Pat Brennan, and I stayed on and been on the treasurers been on the organization probably for 25 years. And I stayed on, and when he passed away, and took over for him for a while. So anyway, any help you can give us, we'd appreciate it. I think whatever you do is something that the police departments endorse or really like, and it helps them do their job and probably in a more discreet way. And I think it's good for the community. So that's kind of it. Thank you.
One of the things I think I talked about it with, I'm not sure if it was you or Sergeant Grubbs, if the board approves of making a contribution to Crime Stoppers, can we restrict those dollars to pay out crimes that are committed only in DeKalb Township?
Yeah, you mentioned that, and we haven't had that happen before. I think we can do it though.
Okay, I mean, just because they're taxpayer dollars, we would need to
Keep them within the, with all the crime happening just across the township affect you too, but we can do that because a lot of times we work with the DeKalb Police Department themselves, so they're going to be in.
right. And all of the city of DeKalb is in DeKalb Township.
Yeah, that's a
And
big.
actually part of Sycamore is too.
Where is it?
Part like Coltonville is.
Right, but part of the city is DeKalb is not in our jurisdiction.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. South.
Yeah, just south of Gerler Road.
Okay.
That's pretty far out. The kids, yes, probably majority.
Yeah, we can provide you with,
Yeah.
or the police would know if it's DeKalb Township.
Yeah, we-
Provide you with the map.
One of the bigger one, I mean, remember the murder that happened between the father and the mother over here at Sycamore out, and there was some anonymous donor put in a $50,000 reward. That kind of segregated funds. That was just
Specifically for that.
Yeah.
and we keep that segregated. We could do the same thing with the
Okay.
DeKalb County, or DeKalb Township also. We need to.
From my perspective, that's the only restriction that we would
Yeah.
have to have.
My question is, do you know where the funds started? So say 2 years ago, it was, $2,000 in terms of what you were giving away and
Mhm.
versus what you're giving away now.
It's been about the same. We haven't had to restrict our rewards based on our funds, but the fund balance used to be quite a bit higher. Especially when we were getting money from I thought it was always an appropriate thing to get part of the fines that the criminals had to pay that would go towards us to help catch the next group that came, the next people, but that's gone away. So that's really what's happened is our funds have been going down. We have to do something to keep that. And I don't want to be in a position to where to say that if the police come to ask for a reward, we just say we don't have the money for it. We're trying to be proactive and build up our funds. We got some donations, good donations from some banks. One of the bank robberies in Resource Bank down in Chavana was solved by a Crime Stopper tip. So you don't see a lot of them because they're smaller, mostly smaller things in the community, but they are out there and we see them every month and they tell us not necessarily who it is, but what the crime was and where it was. know, some DeKalb. So.
What kind of overhead costs do you all have?
See, that's a good thing about us. We have none. None of us are,
Volunteer.
are all volunteers. All the board are volunteers. The only, our accounts are at the bank. And then meetings are at the sheriff's, the DeKalb County Sheriff's Secretary is kind of takes the minutes. She's the secretary for our meetings. She does everything. And then, of course, the police officers are already working but we have no overhead. Funny when we send in our reports,
The only funds we really expend out, other than for rewards, would be we advertise in a couple of different
yeah, I'm sorry, we have some stuff.
flyers and newspapers to solicit people to call Crime Stoppers if they have information. So it's that advertising.
Not a lot. We you probably haven't seen a lot, but there's those signs that are out on DeKalb Avenue. There's a couple of them on, I think there's one on Peace Road. We put a new ones up here recently, and then we also advertise in the Orange Peel Gazette. Have you ever seen that thing? It's in the hospitals and so different places. The only reason I like that is because it goes to every area in the county. They go down Route 72, drop things off. They go down, 64, 38. They go down the southern part of the county. So it covers the whole county. It's pretty cost effective. But if you look in that next time you're looking at the Orange Peel Gazette, you'll see our little label, and all it's just as a label, and it has our phone number. That's all handled through the police. So we don't really have any hired individuals. We do have a few expenses as far as like the advertisement. We got a post office box. I got to pay that. Any kind of stamps or anything. The bank, we always donate stamps that might be needed for mailings and that kind of thing. So no, that's what's good about it. A good bang for your buck because there's no really big overhead.
And when I was thinking through this, a lot of the individuals that come into the township live on the northwest part of DeKalb. And a lot of the crime that happens is on the northwest part of DeKalb. So I thought maybe, for purposes of reducing crime,
Could we possibly work in some signs into that area or something?
yes, well, that's the intention.
Okay.
Yeah, when people are in the lobby, because we're going to be doing some reconfiguring there, and an extra $100,000, $500,000 in your pocket, might be an incentive for people to report something, especially knowing that it's all anonymous.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I guess the other question I have is a two-part question. Other than Monty, how do you think the township can help you, and how will you think individuals can help you? So this is a group. How can individuals and how can we help you other than Monty? So,
well, I think if you do have any awareness of a crime or something's happening, I think if you work with the police in the area, it'd be a good thing to do. Encourage people to know. I think the sign things is a good idea. I mean, it's hard for us. We can't really go into a building and put up a sign unless the people want it there. We do put it on the street, but and we have some advertisement once in a while, but most of it's not a lot of. But if you had those kind of things in certain areas that have a lot of the crime, that would be a good thing to do. I think the police would encourage that too. Yeah, that's a good idea.
How do we go about getting signs put up in that area?
Well, when I went on Crime Stoppers on the webpage for the local Crime Stoppers, there's like a brief description of a crime that they're looking for help from the community.
Yes.
And so, I don't know if those can't be made for every crime.
They don't always change it. That doesn't always get redone. Like we did a crime of the month or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so maybe, if we advertised that, so to speak.
and then those kind of questions. So will it help if we make sure it made it our Facebook page like that? And let's say Andrew, he's a real generous guy, and he's how can he help as an individual?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really. I think that the sheriff really handles the online stuff. I don't get involved with that, but they can always volunteer that. Sure.
Oh, I'm just saying, is it because I read about 101 club And is that the best way that Andrew can help out by donating money? Yes, Andrew?
Yes.
You're giving up your funds, Andrew. Is this an extension of McGruff, the crime dog, or no? Them-
Oh, yeah, I know what that is, but I can't think of who that is.
Take a bite.
Think about it, think about it, right? It couldn't be, I don't recall.
Okay.
We don't use it anyway, it may be.
All right, I didn't know, I don't even, it just came in my head like, hey, this might be related to McGruff.
It's a state organization or state national, it's all over now. We don't go into we don't belong to a state or, we don't want to spend our money belonging to a state or national organization, so we don't, but it's kind of a loose confederation of, clubs or usually by county that are set up that way. Like this.
So,
Do they just,
Go ahead, Lisa.
do they just apply, or is this like under some kind of grant we have? Is there?
So what, we have a resolution prepared for this. And what I'm proposing is that for the Crime Stoppers program is that we provide funding of $5,000.
Okay, I'm just curious, like they're here asking, right, and this is certainly a good organization, but is this different from some other kind of?
No, it's just like when Salvation Army was here last month,
Okay,
same thing.
okay, well, although Salvation Army, don't they apply under the,
They did not,
oh,
under the social service thing. Same
okay,
with back.
oh, okay, I thought they did, okay.
We went through we're a 501c3 organization.
Yeah, and I'm in support, I was just curious about the process.
I think you'd have to know that, we're certified nonprofit. We got all the credentials and status, filing taxes every day.
Are you William?
William Davy, yes.
Yeah, you put that in your letter, William, thank you. Yeah.
Dale, did you have a question?
Yeah, and I think I got answered in the midst of that, but of course, I got one more question. What was that question?
Right.
So, let's say, so we have a resolution drawn up right now so far for $5,000. Is that like a ballpark is where you would think in person?
That'd be great. That's a great amount. That's what I get from some of the banks. That's a good amount.
Just to give you an idea, probably, well, if we had to average, we pay out about 5,000 in a year.
Yeah. Sometimes more. I mean, there's been years that have been
I think
twice that too,
six.
depending on what happened.
And this is for the if you vote to approve this, this is for the fiscal year 21-22, and which is just about to end. So, again, in the next,
Couple months.
if, more funding.
Very sit sheet, that would be also very good. We'd still keep them segregated, in a special fund for DeKalb Township.
Would it be too taxing to ask that we get some type of report about how that $5,000 was used?
Not at all.
Okay.
We maintain those records. I know when I go into the schools and, I'll give them maybe $250 or so every so often, but I want to know what they're spending their money on, and then they tell me, and I relay that to the board. And we would do that to you too. Yes, we can do.
So would we want quarterly or?
I think annually when it's time to reapply, because that'll give us a good gauge
Okay.
too, hopefully, that we know that, 5,000 right size the amount of the contribution. 5,000 may be a deal telling us that's enough right now, so.
Okay,
Right, that you, whatever you can do is great, but that would be a good amount.
okay. All right, so any final questions about Crime Stoppers? Okay. All right, so unfortunately, we have to vote on everything at once, so we have one more presentation.
Okay.
So sticking with the public safety initiatives, we have Chief Byrd with us tonight. Getting a little bit closer to home and talking about crime in the city of DeKalb. There are some needs that the police department has that fall within the parameters of what we could provide funding for. And so Chief Byrd is going to tell us about two programs, and then we can decide which one
Sure. No, very, thank you. Of course, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. Myself and me and Commander met here. I do have a couple of handouts. Commander, you won't get one since you already know the numbers. But
He's not worthy.
he's worthy. He already got it in his head. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Plus, I'm just one short. So, once again, thank you. When we talk about, of course, public safety here in the city of DeKalb, we have a lot of programs in place, but there are a lot of needs for the DeKalb Police Department. We just put down a couple. Now, I believe when we talked about this with Mary originally, we had a pretty long list. I'll just be honest with you. There are several things that we could use that would better our ability to fight crime and just to provide public safety in general. But we did put some of our bigger items at the front of the list. And in some of the budgetary costs, the first one is our K-9 program. Now, we just implemented our K-9 program where we have 2 new K-9s. They are already on the ground. They've already been through training and they're doing amazingly well. Both of these dogs are narcotics dogs. They can also they can track articles. They're not bite dogs, so they don't manhunts is something they would not be doing. These 2 dogs, but the need for the K-9 program was great. We had several cases where we had offenders who were running from the police and tossed firearms, and we could not locate the firearm. Now that we have this added addition to the police department, the dogs can actually track those weapons for us, even to the point of tracking casings that might have been fired, or so they can pick up on that. So that was just super beneficial for us, because there were nights when we had this and we would call around and no one had a dog. So basically, you have an offender in custody with nothing to charge him with. So that was other than fleeing and eluding or some kind of, resisting arrest type charge. So this has been super beneficial to us at the PD to have these 2 canine, they're canine officers. We treat them as such. Drax and Riggs are their names, and they're doing an amazing job so far. But we would like an additional canine, because we would like to have it spread across the 24-hour period. So of course the dogs can only work so long, and I think if we had an additional canine, it would be beneficial. The plan is for the next K-9 is to have him train in bite work, because there is a need if you ever had a manhunt. These dogs would not be able to do that. They might locate an offender, but they won't engage them. Not the way that a K-9 has been trained in bite work would. So the plan is for the next K-9 to be trained in that type of work. And like I said, they're very beneficial when you're dealing with violent offenders. If you're doing a building search, a room search, they'll go and find them and they'll pull them out for you. So that's it's a big need for that. So that would probably be the way we would go with it if we had enough funds to do so. So that was just one of the biggest things we probably our number one item we put down. And like I said, you could see here some of the budgetary costs. The provision of the dog and the handling training together is about $12,000. Then you get some of the like one-time costs, like just the pad and the doghouse. They need to be in a kennel. They need to be held outside. They can't be in the house with other pets. They have to be separated, because what we don't want them to do is to get lazy and start jumping on the couch and sleep. And then you try to get them out of the car, believe me, they won't come. So we, so that's kind of something that we have to do. Some of the other things, like the vehicle is an important part of it. We can't just put a canine in just any old squad. We have to outfit it correctly, and they have to be circulation in the rear. There's a lot of little intricate parts to that as well that would cost. And then some other one-time costs, like the gear. They all get a vest. A lot of times the vests are donated, which is great, but there are other equipments that have to be used, training equipment, that would be needed, so that, a lot of times those can sometimes be a one-time purchase, just depends on the wear and tear. And then you're talking about annually vet, food, those type of things, of course, that any animal would need. So, so moving on from the canine program, we went into our bicycle program.
Sorry, Chief, before you go, how many hours, I'm sorry, it's just funny. How many hours can a dog work, like in a shift?
Well, they'll work a regular shift, yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
and beyond. I guess at the end of the day, you have to be mindful, like, let's say, the thing about them working is that, how many actual searches can they do? Because after a while, it's like, hey, okay, we need you to, that little sniffer gets a little, gets a little tired out. So, at some point, depending on the type of weather we're in. So in the summer, things get a little bit different for them. So that's where it goes back to when we're talking about the equipment in the vehicle, because we need to keep them cool as much as possible. So they work as hard as the day goes. I think they're a little bit like humans. If you didn't get a good night's sleep, you might be might have a little problem. But
Okay.
for the most part, they will go as long as they can go. Sometimes they just get to a point where you can just tell by the way they're approaching a vehicle, or let's say, and you don't see the same pep in his step. And it's like, okay, he's getting a little tired. Probably been a long day, and the heat got to him, or whatever the case may be. So that's why we would like to, keep them to a regular standard shift if possible, which is for us, we're on most hours on 410s. So that'd be like a 10-hour shift for them. So if we, that's where the additional canine would come in handy. So that's across those 24-hour periods. So
Makes sense.
yeah. So,
What breed of dogs?
what are these we have now? I think mixed. It's like a German Shepherd.
Some sort of shepherd.
Yeah. So a lot of times shepherds would normally eat canine. They have gone a little bit more outside to some other different breeds that are not as big, but they do well as far as tracking articles and actually alerting on narcotics. So, but they're pretty big. They're babies still. So, and really playful dogs right now. That's why I say I think they look the part, but I think people, when they realize, okay, they're not going to bite us, then they'll come up and lick us, but they're going to bite us. And that's the problem. At least they look the part. So the bad guys, when we get out of the car with them, they don't know what they've been trained in or not. They just assume that they've been trained bite work. They probably, they'll stop. Little do they know, they'll just come up and play with them. So thank God they don't know that. So, but yeah, most of them have been shepherds or some shepherd mix. Yeah. So moving into the bicycle program. One thing about the bicycle program, I worked with the state police in Chicago, almost 32 years. And one of the most impressive teams that I ever witnessed and I worked with was the CPD bicycle team. They were amazing. We dealt with civil unrest, and they were probably the most intricate team as far as, intervening and controlling civil unrest, just because of the maneuverability of the bikes, where there were places you can't go in a squad, and of course, on foot, you wouldn't be able to keep up with another officer on a bike. So, they were able to get to different corners faster than we could get there in our cars, just due to traffic and then when you're talking about civil unrest, you have thousands of residents in the street, and you just can't get there. But the bikes were able to maneuver around and catch up. So and they also formed their own barrier with the bike. So if you wanted to stop a group from going northbound on First Street, they could get there and line up, and the bikes themselves kind of form a barrier. So they were extremely, just amazingly effective during civil unrest during some of the protests that we did have in the city of Chicago when I was with the Illinois State Police. So with that being said, we would like to get our bike program back up as well. We have several officers that are trained to be bike team members. However, our staffing numbers haven't allowed us to use them appropriately because the numbers just weren't there. We would try to start them out. Hey, why don't you take the bike out for a couple of hours? And then before you know it, we have to bring them in and put them in the squad because the call volume was too high. So we couldn't let them. So, but now, fortunately, with the help of City Manager Nicholas and Mayor Barnes, I've been able to increase staffing. And we are getting to a point where now during the spring and summer, we would like to actually be more, forthcoming with the bike program and be more effective there. So we did mention the bicycles. So they're about budgetary costs would be the police bikes are $2,500. They're very expensive bikes, but they're very durable. And they kind of cover a lot of different terrains, as you can imagine, that you would need to have depending on where what area you're working in. Bicycle uniform and gear for each officer. There's about $750 worth of that. We talk about, they have to wear a different type of uniforms. They couldn't bicycle in a regular uniform just because of the heat. They would need something that was more breathable. Their shorts, they're just like a lot of different things, shoes that will be required, to, help them perform their duties as a bike officer. And then there's a certification course. So, like I said, we do have some that are already certified. With additional bikes, we would have to certify a few other officers just to make that impact. So to me personally, I would love to have, the bike team up pretty much majority of the time during the spring and the summer. I think they're extremely effective, especially when you're dealing with the college as well. We can get in and around and get to different places where, like I said, squads just can't get to just because of the size. So, and the good thing about it, they're stealth. I mean, you don't hear them coming and someone's doing something that they shouldn't be doing and we need to kind of sneak up on them. We're able to do that with the bicycles because, like I said, they're extremely quiet. So as long as you don't ring your bell on the front, so you're good now. You ring your bell, they know you're coming. So I know I took you guys back with that one.
I was thinking it already.
Yeah.
How many police bikes are you looking at?
Well, they're like I said, they're 250 a piece. So we were thinking about a couple, so maybe two. Like I said, we do have some. We do have a couple that are a little bit on the back end of their life. Could we maybe send them off and get some more work done on them? Maybe make them survive another year possibly. But they are starting to have some issues. So
What's the lifespan of a bike like that?
it depends on how much you use it. So I mean, I guess if your team was out there, I'll give you an example. CPD's bike team pretty much ran the whole year, even in the winter months if it wasn't snowing. So their bikes, I imagine, probably would last, maybe 4 years tops with that type of rotation. But with us, when we're just doing it seasonally, basically, probably lasts a little bit longer than that. So I imagine 6 years. I imagine so.
When you say seasonally, what months are you thinking there?
I mean, we're looking, probably as early as April, May. But then, like I said, how the Midwest, we just went through that last Saturday with a 70-degree day, and 2 days later we were shoveling stuff. But to answer your question, sir, I would imagine somewhere start by April and May, take it all the way through to September, October.
I have a question. How many officers do you currently have trained with a certification, and how many bikes do you guys currently have?
Approximately, we just sent two. I believe we have approximately 6 officers that are trained. We just sent 2 to just graduated from the bike school. Although we didn't have bikes for them, we sent them because we feel like there's a rotation involved. So about approximately 6. And the bikes, I'm not 100% sure. I believe there are at least 5 of those, but 2 of them, like I said, are a little bit dated. So, but I can get you a hard count on that if you guys would like that. So.
I always have questions. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah.
I know you talked to us about a lot of the upsides of the bike. What are the downsides of a bicycle?
Well, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, I mean, there's still speed involved in certain situations. As far as depending on, like I said, the good thing is that there's certain areas that they can get to. Now, of course, squad car is going to move a little faster in certain situations. It just depends on what you're dealing with. To me, it's mostly pros. I really can't find other than being able to transport an offender. So you get someone in custody, you're gonna have to call for someone in a cruiser to come and transport for you. But other than that, I mean, I think for the time that we're talking about, I mean, there aren't really any negatives that I can really think of.
I was thinking of one, my buddy here, McNutt. He's on bicycle, healthy as he is. He's speeding up really fast. He gets to, 2 offenders. Now it's 2-on-1 because the cop car can't get there.
Yeah, well.
Is that a liability? Because I want to keep him safe.
Yeah, well, they usually run in tandem, so it's usually two to a team. So we use them during Corn Fest. You'll see 2 of them riding together in unison. So they still have that partner relationship, 1-on-1. So I think even that we can combat that as well because we keep them together as a team. Like I said, so I really can't think of any negatives. To me, everything is a positive. Like I said, the fact that they're stealth and they can get through different areas, like alleyways, little courtyards. I mean, all the type of things that we get stuck in where we have to get out on foot and actually run compared to being able to, use the bicycle and take ground that way. So I really don't have.
Can you bike at night?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
They have lights on them,
yeah, they have lights and then, have all their reflective gear and then they have strobes. And
Oh, okay.
so, they're pretty, I mean, these bikes are pretty, they'll have, they have emergency lights.
Okay.
So you can deck them out and they'll be ready to go. We use them during Corn Fest all through the night. They were out there late as 1 a.m.
Okay.
So,
And for both the K-9 program and the bicycle program, one of the things that, as a parent, that I always liked is the K-9 program would show up at, the
National Night Out.
National Night Out or at events where kids are. And so, it's a way for kids to build relationships
Sure.
with police officers. And same with the bicycle program. I remember when my kids would, pass officers on their bikes and, it's a way for people to engage. And I think on the bicycle program, there's a lot more opportunity for the public or the police to engage with the public because they're not in a car. And so that's,
Yeah, I mean, and then you talk about, they have paired kids. So, sometimes you run up on another kid and you got a chain slip off, they can get out and help them. Got a flat tire, they can help them. So I think that's, another area where like we talk about that relationship between the community and law enforcement. That's, that'll be conducive as well. So very positive interaction from that as well. But like I said, I don't, the bike, like I said, I've never been more impressed in, with, like when I saw CPD's bike team, the way they work. Now these teams were pretty big. They were robust, probably, they probably had 15 strong in one unit, and they worked all downtown Chicago. As you can imagine, it's going down Michigan, some of the, into the, further down up north into Water Tower Place and all these different places where it's just a little tougher for you to get through in a squad during with traffic. And just extremely effective though. So I really don't have any negative other than, not being able to transport and, they work together in tandem. So, you have a partner. They help us out more than anything because of the stealthiness of them. So.
Okay.
Have you say NIU?
Oh, police, yeah. Oh, no, so now I'm sold on it, but what's the right number for you all? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, 2 bikes.
Two bikes.
2 bikes. Mhm. And then I guess I should finish up with the public safety cameras. So we already have a grant and we have public safety cameras up. We also have license plate readers that will probably be up by the end of the month. I know you probably heard a lot about the license plate readers. So I just want to say that when it comes to, I know a lot of people have anxiety about technology with cameras and license plate readers. However, I will tell you that this is going to be the future. I mean, there's no way to get around it. There really isn't. If we want to have a city that is safe, if public safety is our #1 goal, we will not be able to do this without safety cameras and the license plate readers. And I'm happy to say that we're progressive enough here in the city of DeKalb that we've already moving that way. We just went over a case where we had there was a bank robbery in Sycamore. Unfortunately, our license plate readers weren't up yet, but if they were, we would have been able to pick that car up immediately, and we'd have had that car stopped probably within 15 to 20 minutes from the time of the robbery. Now, we ended up getting them in custody by good police work by some officers at DPD. But I guess at the end of the day, we know how impactful the license plate readers are going to be, and the surveillance cameras as well, because we see things. They give us eyes when we don't have eyes. We can't be everywhere, and I think everyone understands that. But if we can look at a camera and go back and say, well, this child was at this intersection, and then we actually get a video of him getting in a car, get the license plate and the make and model of that car, we wouldn't have been able to get that information any other way unless a witness would have, actually gave us that information. A lot of times we don't have a good witness. You don't have police officers on every corner. So of course, when it comes to video surveillance, it's extremely important. So we did add that to our list with some of the budgetary constraints. Is that, most of these cameras are pretty expensive. They're $2,500 each for each camera itself, about $350 in installation costs. And then you have a software subscription cost which costs about $250 for each camera. But like I said, this is a force multiplier for the police department. I am so excited for the license plate readers to be up. I'm glad we already have some safety cameras up, but if we can add to the number we have as far as cameras, that's going to be super effective, and it'll be a bigger force multiplier for us. We have approximately, I believe, 6 cameras up now. We got 6 license plate readers that'll be in conjunction with in the near future, hopefully by the end of the month. So if we can add an additional camera or 2 to some of our more busy intersections, it'll be effective for everyone. And like I said, this goes direct to public safety. This is the future. And as much as we might have some anxiety about Big Brother, looking over us, but the Big Brother's in these phones of ours. So, they already got us. So, I'm not even to worry about the camera. It seems a little bit very minor when every time you get on your phone and you Google apples, all of a sudden you get all these apples coming at you and all these different things. You want to buy apples? Buy apples from Jules. Like, well, I didn't ask for that. But but the license plate readers in conjunction with the public safety cameras is going to be extremely effective here in the city of DeKalb. But it's like I said, I put it on the list. It's third down on the list for us. If you asked me to prioritize these, I would put them in the order that we have them right now, with the K9 first, bicycle program, and cameras last, because we do have some grants that can help us with cameras and license plate readers. So.
And do those cameras mainly get put on like main intersections and stuff?
Use them. We use a lot of different criteria. So of course we look at traffic volume. So yes, some of the main corridors will be targeted, and then we also look. And I tell people all the time, I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to tell you that we don't look at crime stats. Why we have to look at crime stats? That's with police department. We don't look at the crime stats and determine where our hot spots are. We have to target those spots. So that is also using some of the criteria where we put cameras up, where we put license plate readers up. So we look at egress and ingress into the city of DeKalb, and we just try to put a net over the city. So that way, once we get some clear present dangers that come into the city of DeKalb, we'll know they're here. Now we have to do the hard part and still apprehend them. But with the license plate readers, we'll know if there's a stolen vehicle just came in off Peace Road from I-88, we already know that they're in town. Now the key is we got to apprehend them and we got to find them. But at least we know where they came in, and I think that's you'll see in the next we'll probably be able to give you some numbers next 6 months or so once we get the license plate reader up, how effective the cameras and the readers are as a whole. So. But yes, we do use traffic volume in some of our bigger intersections as well.
I had a question about these cameras. Are
Sure.
they, you know, I'm from Chicago and I'm used to seeing them big boxes that are,
Oh, with the light, yeah, with the
yeah,
lights.
yeah. Is it that kind of?
No, they're not that, you know, they won't be, actually, you probably wouldn't even notice. They're very
Okay.
small. They don't have, so we don't have any emergency lights attached to them.
Okay.
So it's not like the CPD box cameras that they use in certain intersections. Now, a lot of times they did that as a deterrent. They put the lights on there just to hope that,
Right.
you know, hey, you know, they won't sell drugs on this corner. They won't commit crimes on this corner. You know, so but with us, ours are going to be more stealth. You won't be able to, you know, unless you stop and look up there, you might, you know, but as far as driving, you won't be able to look up there and see a flashing blue and red light and say, oh, that must be the camera.
Okay.
It won't be that obvious.
So if I'm just a moment over the speed limit, will these cameras go?
No, they're not speed
She's a
cameras.
speeder?
No,
Those too.
no, we don't have, so there are no speed cameras and no red light enforcement cameras. So
Okay.
this is a public safety camera, and all we're trying to do is to make sure that we have eyes where we don't have eyes, you know, and so we had just recently had a young lady who went missing. We were able to go back to the cameras, find out she got in a vehicle. We were able to get the plate on the vehicle. We were able to track this young lady all the way to Florida.
Oh.
All right now, but we didn't know if she left, you know, on her own will or not. So we didn't know if a crime actually was committed. But just through the beginning of it with the safety camera, we were able to find her. And just today we found out that she went in it was in her free will.
Okay.
But it was a weird circumstance why she just went up and left and didn't call anybody. So, but apparently she went with a young man that she met online, and I guess they're in bliss, love, or something. But we know, her loved ones didn't know that.
Okay.
So we had to treat it as a missing person. And but it started with the getting the plate in the vehicle on camera, and then it went from there. So yeah, but don't worry, you won't be caught speeding here. There's no speed cameras there. We don't have any red light enforcement cameras
Okay.
at this time. So.
Yeah. I'm not a big speeder. I was just curious. The other question I have two questions.
Sure.
One is about staff training and the cost, and is that a part of this? I don't know that I noticed it.
For bicycle or for?
Well, I think, bicycle is a program. So
yeah, there's a training too. I mean, you'd have to go and train to learn. I mean, to ride. I mean, you think you just know how to ride a bicycle, so I can just be on a bike team.
yeah.
They do have to go to.
Yeah, I see the certificate,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I figured that.
Yeah.
My question also is there training for
Cameras.
people that are gonna look at watch the camera?
So those, and that'll be in conjunction with our license plate readers. So we have our TC staff, so our telecommunicators. They're used to doing this anyway. I mean, they've
Okay.
already been trained in a lot of this through their certificate as far as being a telecommunicator.
Okay.
So all we're going to have to do is they're going to learn this a little bit, another piece of the puzzle for them. But there's nothing real significant for them. Like when the license plate readers come, they'll get a hit. They'll treat that hit like they normally do if they run someone's name.
Okay.
They'll just go over to another computer and say, okay, I have to decipher what car this is, and
Okay.
where it came in. So nothing major there for any training on that.
My other question is about maintenance. So maintenance for the bike program,
Mhm.
is that internal or external?
Mhm.
And I guess maintenance for the cameras. Well, yeah,
Okay.
I don't know about maintenance for that too. I didn't even think about that. I guess that requires some maintenance too, some
Yeah.
ongoing costs.
So mostly everything is internal. Of course, of course, when it comes to their health, we would
Okay.
source that out because, we would send them to a vet. But as far as their everyday cares, that's the canine handler's job. So keeping them clean, I mean, all those type of things that you would do with your regular pet, keeping their kennel clean, all that would be handled by him or her.
Okay.
So, but as far as their health, yeah, we would source that out to a vet, of course. Same thing with the bicycle program. Most of this, we would probably be able to handle in-house, unless there was something seriously wrong with the bike that would require some more, then we would source that out as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Of course, I got two more questions. I know.
Sorry, Mr. Thurman, go ahead.
With this, with the, I thought I wrote my questions down. Oh, are you familiar with the camera program that is rolling out right now at NIU on campus?
Is it, they probably have some of the same cameras we have.
It's a Genetech.
Genetech, yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Have you talked with them? Maybe you can get in together, you know, and share some of the resources. And
Yeah, so the plan is to not just with them, but with, so we've had landlords who have also shown interest to want to have, to put up their own cameras. So the plan is for them to buy the same cameras we have, so we can all interlock and sync up, and then we can all kind of have the same visual. So basically what they'll do is feed us. I mean, they're really, and they're gonna feed the departments just for public safety. So not just NIU, but landlords. We've talked to the landlords as well about putting up public safety cameras on their properties. And we encourage them to pick and use Genetech as well, because we're all gonna be using the same product. So that'll be great. And they will be able to sync up. So yes, we have them.
And now you brought up another question. I'm probably not to me. I feel like I'm cheating, but
That's all right.
so now, like some communities have like the ring program where they share their.
We have that.
Okay.
When they register, you can register your ring to the police department. Yeah, we have that.
And the last question is, you're probably gonna be upset about this. So what if we decided we could prioritize that differently? Like the public safety camera, that's the most intriguing thing that you told me so far, because it's tons of benefits from it. I mean, the benefits from all of those, but that seems like, for me, that would be priority number one.
And that's where we're gonna go. We're gonna have a discussion next, and where we wanna see our funding go toward.
I was curious, how did that just become third priority?
Because we had already had grants that we've already bought and paid for some, so it wasn't a bigger need when it was additional funding that was going to be available. We said, well, we already have some grants for this. LPR is already paid for, so it's like, well, if we're going to have some additional funding, what could be more impactful to us like right now? And that's why we.
So this is priority list for us.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to.
Yep. And then, of course, you can choose to do, Mr. Thurman, I'll accept any help you give me. So let's just get that on the table right now. Believe me, I just felt like that because we did already have a lot of this funded already. Now, additional cameras would help. Don't get me wrong. I will never turn that down. But also that additional K-9 would help as well. So we just wanted to at least give you a list and let you guys make your decision.
I got one more question, not related to this cost. Does the officer that works with the K-9s, do they get a little bit more pay than the other officers?
No.
Really? Okay.
No, it's now they could incur a little bit more overtime just with upkeep, as far as dealing, they own, their cases, some of the call outs. So they'll have, a lot of times they could be off and get a call out. So they're going to have to get paid for every call out they come out on.
Oh.
So you get some additional funding there. But no, this is a situation. Hey, are you interested in K-9? Yes. Okay. You love dogs? Come on out.
Oh, okay.
So that believe me, that'll be a fight of all fights if we did that. Believe me. So.
Oh, okay.
So but no, we basically extra funding for things like field training officer and stuff like that. But that's also encompasses extra time writing reports after your shift based on what that officer, whoever your probationary officer is. So you incur that. But other than that, that's it.
Any other questions for Chief Burke?
Did we put dog treats in there for the?
At least I know you'll bring them anyway. So I left that off just so you can come in and bring them.
All right.
Well, thank you all for your time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So, Chief Burke mentioned priorities. Looking at our funding, we can allocate about $15,000 toward these needs for the police department. And so in my, how I'm envisioning it going, and this is just me, is that, that those funds are designated. When we first had our conversations, I was envisioning those funds would be designated to one of the particular programs. But of course, if you'd like to break that money up, then we certainly can do that as well.
I
15.
personally really
Oh,
like,
right.
sorry, I personally really like the bicycle program idea, just because I feel like if they're out and about cruising neighborhoods or whatever, that's more of a police presence than just, you know, a cop being called to where they're needed.
More proactive versus
Yeah.
reactive, okay?
Yeah, I mean, all those had the mirrors and I favor the cameras myself. 'Cause-
I think the cameras are a great idea, but they're getting grants for that, so we could put the money towards something else.
I like the K9 program. Probably because I live on Lincoln Highway and I hear about all the different shots going off over there. And you know, I didn't, but my cousins and them used to watch, what is it? Bad Boys, Bad Boys. And they would send the dogs in there all the time, cops, yeah. And they would get it. Is there a way or a rationale that you came to with 15,000? Is there a way that you figured that number?
You know, looking at the budget and looking at the funding that we've given to other organizations this year, and I mean, we could go a bit higher.
Would this be annual as well?
Yes, we did fund annually, and
Well, Chief, what do you think about that number?
What, 15?
Yes.
Thurman Howard, you came here and told you, I'll take anything you give me, so, but, look, that's very generous, I'm gonna say that, very generous for the township to do that for us, 15,000. It would, you know, it would cover, you know, a lot of the costs here. So I'm just fortunate to be here in front of you. I won't, I think that's very generous.
And I'll just say, we're the fortunate ones that you thinking about protecting our community like that. And the $15,000, like you said, if we'll vote on it, but
Okay.
my opinion is a good one.
so the K9 program, so obviously we have some residents of the township that live outside city limits. Like if you go south of town
Sure.
in that, what's that subdivision called?
So,
Okay, yes, south, no.
which one?
By Kish, before Kish, that on Virginia Road and all that.
Oh, that's out of the city anyway.
Right, so if the sheriff's office had a need serving an area that's outside of the city limits,
would
but still
respond.
within the township, would that K9 serve
They
there?
would respond.
Okay.
So you will find that a lot of, basically, when you need a K9, you put out an all call, basically. So you have a state police come sometimes, you know, you basically, when you need a K9, you say, hey, you know, you pretty much blast it out.
Okay.
And whoever's close say, hey, I can be there in 10 minutes.
Okay.
I can be there in 15 minutes. Now, you also have to understand there's case law and certain things, like you have to, especially with narcotics, if you can't respond within a certain amount of time, the judge will throw your case out. So they say, hey, well, it took 30 minutes for the K9 to get there. Well, that's too long. Because you detain someone exceptionally. And then, you know, so a lot of times you'll see that in narcotics cases where we're looking for the closest K9 available. So if DeKalb is the closest K9 available, we'll get a call and the county will say, hey, you got your, you know, can your K9 respond? We'll say, yes. What's this ETA, 15 minutes, good enough. Send them. So.
And personally, with all of the crime that's happening in suburban apartments, which is not in the city of DeKalb, but it is in DeKalb Township, if that can help, because I mean, how many apartments are there? Yeah, if, you know, that many
We have
residents
students over there.
can be
Yeah.
better served by.
What is the camera presence like in that area?
Well, we definitely, we can't go into, we wouldn't go outside of the city limits. But right there, you know,
Are there any
right on the border, yes.
Are there any other agencies that cover that area?
Well, yeah, the DeKalb County
Okay.
Sheriff's.
With cameras?
I do not know if they have cameras.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that.
I don't think they do. No.
But we have cameras right there, once you cross into the DeKalb city limits, right there on Hillcrest and Annie Glidden.
So I was kind of leaning toward the K9 program myself.
That doesn't cover the K9 program, but that K9 costs,
Right, I mean,
some of
for
those costs
the,
aren't gonna be,
it's a good,
it's a good start.
It's a good starting place, and we don't have to end the year. We can evaluate it again going forward.
again, this is the end of the budget year. so-
Exactly, yeah, we'll be revisiting that really soon too.
So if we say 15 today,
Mhm.
then, well, I'm kind of torn because summer's coming up and that bike program.
Can we do one bike and then the remaining goes to the canine? And then we revisit it?
Or we could have another discretionary 5,000 and put 15 toward the canine and 5 toward the bikes.
I'm with that one right there.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you too, chief?
That's, yeah, I'm, like I said, it's very generous, Mr. Thurman. I'm ecstatic for this. Thank you.
So I am going to make a motion that we,
Can I just? before
oh, I'm
you
sorry,
go,
yes.
Just if the bike doesn't take the whole 5,
Mhm.
can they add that toward the canine program? Because that.
Sure, we'll designate it to those two.
Okay,
I mean, I think
Those are the-
if they want 2 bikes, that's 5,000 right there.
right, okay.
So, all right, I'm gonna make a motion then that we approve the expenditure of $5,000 for DeKalb County Crime Stoppers. And $20,000 or $15,000 toward the City of DeKalb Police Department Canine Program. And $5,000 toward the City of DeKalb Police Department Bike Patrol.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Thurman,
Yes.
trustee McNutt, abstain.
Trustee King,
Yes.
trustee Bradlow,
Yes.
and supervisor Hess.
Yes.
4 yeses and 1 abstain, the motion passes.
Okay. Thank you for your time here tonight
Thank
and
you.
um,
Very generous. Thank you. I don't know what else to say, but thank you all.
Hey, just give us a break in case you see it. No, I'm joking. Same with the Crime Stoppers.
We're Chicago folks.
All right, all right.
Come on, homegirl, of course.
All right.
So we will,
where do we send a check? Okay, should I bring a check to you at the bank? Should we?
well, we were
Actually-
gonna meet with the sheriff.
Okay,
Do I have a photo op?
So we can-
yes.
We can arrange
For
that
your
maybe next
donation.
week, you said? or-
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you
Whenever
very
you're
much. Thank you a lot. I mean, we're humbled over here. This guy's got a lot of uses. I'm appreciate we're in on the same thing here, but I see why he was hired, so it's a good match.
Thank you, sir.
And just think if everything he does here works.
Oh, yeah.
And make sure that
It's real.
I think ours is a piece of the,
It is.
Yeah.
It's a great.
These are very good expenditures, I think, for you.
And Dale, just so you know, Limblom, so that's when you're in
With the
competition.
young.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, God, that's all right.
Exactly.
You're a good man, Mr. Thurman. No, you, but I just, once again, thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. And we'll be able to, this will be impactful for the department and the city. And we'll be able to give you some good numbers, especially when it comes to what we're doing on the bikes and what the canines are doing as well.
I
You
think
guys are already doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
both of these programs are a good return on investment for,
Yeah, I think they're very.
We
much so.
appreciate you.
And I want to remind both of you, just like Mary said, that this is the end of one cycle.
Right,
So feel free to come back
okay.
to get some more,
Thank
you
you.
know, because I think they're both doing well as well. There are people looking at me funny, but I just think, you know, you can't do enough to protect yourself, and the world is changing.
It is.
And it's changing rapidly, like exponentially. People are doing bizarre things. Hope they're not watching the Township, but we ought to do, I think, what we can to help people feel safe and to provide some safety measures. So,
Agreed.
yeah, and then reward the people who say, hey, you know, right, I'm a good bystander.
They're good.
Yep.
Human
Yeah.
camera too.
Right, right.
Okay.
right, thank you.
all.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good night. Thanks again.
All right.
All right. Moving on to presentations. This is where I moved item IC. We have a proclamation that you'll see in your book tonight. This proclamation is twofold. It recognizes both the 50th anniversary of the National Senior Nutrition Program and the 48th anniversary of Voluntary Action Center of DeKalb County. And so basically the proclamation is urging every resident to recognize older adults and the people who support them through nutrition services as essential contributors to the strength of our community. And so, as you know, we recently provided funding to VAC, and they have an outstanding Meals on Wheels program. And so this proclamation helps recognize the great work that they're doing. So, no action needs to be taken on that. So next is reports. Supervisor's report. I don't have anything tonight. Clerk?
I hope everyone ends up getting a healthy tax return.
Heavy Commissioner is absent. Assessor?
I got nothing. Thank you.
Trustees reports? Trustee Bradford? Trustee King?
Well, it's Women's History Month. Last month was Black History Month. I don't have anything for you to watch on television. But I'm glad to hear what you said about the elderly, because I think that's an important group of people that we should not neglect. And I was about to go on spring break. So I don't know about the rest of you, but that makes me a little
No
excited.
impact on me.
Right, oh, okay. It gives me kind of a warm feeling. But I hope that they have a good time, because I will be having a good time in their absence, waiting for their return. I think that's it. Everything is going well and smooth.
Great.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Trustee McNabb?
No report.
Trustee Thurman?
No report, just a question though. Volunteer, are we still interested in volunteer for the Salvation Army to help at night?
Hey, I already have, man.
You already
I was
have?
there last week.
Oh, you were, okay, because,
I know he's jealous
It's
now.
fantastic. I went during the day. I know we talked about, we're going to get together, try to do the evening shift.
was that something when we do, because my daughter now is bugging me about it, because she wants to volunteer too, and I was like, well, I asked him at the next meeting to be on a group, or do we just want to keep doing it individually like that?
I'm up for, I intend to continue to do it individually, just,
Okay.
to kind of get familiar with it, and can promote it more as a resource here. But I think doing it as a group is a great idea too.
Okay, is there a particular time, or I'll shoot out an email, will that work for everybody, there's some time?
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's only on Thursdays,
Right,
the evening one.
It would have to be evening hours.
Yeah.
okay.
My daughters would probably want to help too with that.
And if your kid's not in high school, but if you have a high schoolers, that counts towards the community service time too. So my daughter's trying to organize a couple of friends to go along with us.
I don't know if they have
Brooklyn.
restrictions if you have to be 18.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to check on that.
Okay.
Some places do have that for liability reasons. So we'll just,
I'll check on it too.
yeah, okay. So yeah, if you want to just shoot an email, and then I'll send out a text to have you guys, because if it's way off from a meeting or something, just check your email for that.
Is that Dale's big book or just somebody else's?
Dale has something to sign.
Oh, okay. I just saw it and I was like, why did Dale get the big book?
Yeah.
That's all I
Anything
have.
else? Okay.
I don't know if you spoke to the Crime Stoppers or the CPD, but I really appreciate that. I think that's all right. And for more than one reason, I might add. One is that whole, they're not using the money. And two, this is a good use of those funds, I think.
Well, I think, that because townships, according to the township code, public safety is supposed to be one of our areas that we're supposed to, provide services. It wouldn't make any sense to do anything to me other than
Right.
support agencies that are already doing it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
so there's 7 areas, and our public safety, environmental protection, public transportation, health, recreation, libraries, social services for the poor and aged, and economic development.
Yeah.
And then general assistance falls under
Right.
like
Yeah.
something else. So we can, and we hit the 2 agencies that serve all of DeKalb Township.
Mhm.
I suppose Sycamore PD would fall into that to some degree.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a good way for us to extend our outreach.
I think so too. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and Cal's been a little crazy lately, so. all
Right,
the extra help they can get, I'm sure.
right. Well, and hopefully, you know, I don't know if the sale of the Hunter properties has happened yet.
It did, I think,
Okay.
today.
Oh,
They-
fantastic.
They might have taken over today.
Okay,
Okay,
so hopefully with that, you know, that's a big initiative.
things will calm down. Did they get all of them?
I believe they got
I thought there's 3.
Lincoln Towers and they got the Ridgebrook.
Okay,
I don't know if they got the ones on Hillcrest or not.
The one with the storefronts, I thought.
That we got.
They got-
before,
oh,
but There
okay.
was one at Greenbrier and Hillcrest.
Oh, okay.
The Tri-Frat, I don't know if that was included or not.
you know, there's one on Normal.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I had never noticed it. When I was in college, I used to hang out there with a friend of mine, but it wasn't called Hunters then, but I noticed it. And I was wondering,
But Normal and Ridge, is that the one?
No.
511 Normal.
Oh, yeah, that's Hunter.
right across from.
I don't think that was part of the sale.
Yeah, because I don't know that that's as problematic as the other ones. I don't know. But I was surprised when I saw it, when they go into work, like, I didn't know that was done. So there must not be.
I don't think that one was included because that wasn't one of the most chronic,
Yeah, Yeah, I didn't think.
problem areas.
Okay.
Yes, I'm almost done, I'm sorry.
What?
Oh, with this.
I kind of jumped around. All right, so next we have bill paying. I'm looking for a motion to approve the February audit report and March bills to pay. February audit report in the amount of $196,616. And the March bills to pay in the amount of $130,422.57.
So moved.
A second.
Any discussion?
I do, I just have one.
Yes.
Under February, well, yeah, it's under February. Only, why is Resource Bank so tiny? It's not even related to anything economically. I'm just wondering, it's just so tiny.
What line number you referring to?
It's at the bottom of page 1. Well, not page 1, but the page
Under
right
town
after.
fund, what's the check number?
It's not a check number.
Oh, service fee, that's
Yeah.
what banking service fee.
Yeah, it's just a service fee.
Okay, and so pad, do we know what, that's like maybe somebody put it in there on their iPad?
No,
Oh, it's just so tiny.
yeah,
It's just because it's an automatic withdrawal,
Oh, okay,
processed automatic withdrawal,
okay,
CAD.
oh,
okay. But the other ones, just so you are larger, up above it, you see?
Right, but it's probably something that just came on the bank statement. So it was
Oh,
just added later, just as a last minute, hey, this came on the bank statement, needs added.
okay, all right.
Just assuming.
Yeah, and I don't know, I just thought, that looks a little tiny, look at my eyes.
I think it's because it's lowercase and everything else is capitalized.
Oh, duh, yeah, that would do it too. Yeah, that's probably it, it's lowercase.
Any other discussion on February audit report and March bills to pay? Roll call, please.
Trustee Bradwell,
Yes,
trustee King,
Yes,
trustee McNutt.
Yes.
Trustee Thurman,
Yes.
supervisor House,
Yes.
5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion passes.
Next is the treasurer's February budget report. So can I get a motion to receive, file, and approve the treasurer's February budget report?
So moved.
Second.
Let's see a second. Well, who do you have seconding?
Aye.
Okay.
Go first because of direction. so.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
All right, trustee McNutt,
Yes.
trustee King,
yes,
trustee Bradwell,
yes,
trustee Thurman,
Yes.
supervisor House.
Yes.
With 5 ayes and 0 nays, the motion passes.
And I apologize, I got so excited after all the public safety stuff that there was one other item on new business that we didn't get to. And so that is the discussion and approval of authorization for supervisor to approve and execute a 3-year agreement for professional auditing services with Newkirk and Associates. So that packet is, the proposal is in your packet, but I do want to start by something that I was not aware of. So Highway Commissioner Smith brought to my attention before this meeting that so the audit report does an audit of all of the different accounts of the township. And the supervisor serves as the treasurer of both the township and the road district. And so I made, I guess it was my misunderstanding that I would put these out to get quotes. And then when those quotes came back in, I would bring a one of the firms to you for your decision. And I did this without consulting him. I don't know, you know, if I should have done it differently. So I didn't have any discussion with him. Now the proposal does just specifically talk about the township. It doesn't talk about the road district, but what we've typically done is, you know, the audit covers all of the accounts in the township handles. And just as a refresher, the reason why we're looking for a new auditor is because the last auditing firm we had this year, or this past year, they did it for, I want to say it was $8,000, and they said for the coming year it would be $12,000. So we wanted to see if we could find something that was a little bit lower cost. So this firm did come back with a similar cost of what we were getting. I also reached out to two other firms. One came back at $28,000, so I eliminated them. And then the third firm didn't even provide a quote. And I called probably, I don't know, probably 10 different CPA firms. And these three were three that did government, because a lot of CPAs don't even do government audits. So I'm not quite sure how we want to proceed on this.
So it doesn't include the road commission?
Well, the proposal, he accounted for that in the cost.
Oh, okay.
But
Misunderstood.
if the road district doesn't want to use this auditor, then, you know, we certainly, he has his discretion to use whatever auditor he wants. So we could either,
Have you heard from Craig? Is he?
Yeah, do we have time to wait? Does he want to talk it out further before?
that's what I was gonna say, we could either hold off on voting for this, or we could vote on it only for the township.
I say we hold off if the quote is for both. It's a good price compared to what you're getting just for from everyone else. So maybe hold off and make sure he's down and wants to.
Is our existing company also potentially in the running? That was gonna ask for 12 for this coming year or no?
Well, this is less, so that's, I came with the lowest quote.
Right.
So you, what about you? You don't?
I don't have any say in this.
His budget falls under the town budget. So for, what falls under my purview is the town budget, which includes the assessor and the cemetery, and then the general assistance budget.
Okay.
And then the road district has different accounts.
I can't imagine he wouldn't want to be wrapped into it, right? Because otherwise it's gonna come out of his budget. Correct?
He would still pay a portion of this.
Yeah.
The road district would still pay a portion of.
So if we have time to wait, then we should wait, and then you guys can have a discussion, and once an agreement's made, then we can consider it.
Okay, we'll bring it back next month then. Everyone okay with that?
And the person is
Yeah, so this is it is a,
Multi-year.
yes, it's a multi-year. That's the only way they would do it, because they didn't want to spend, because the first year you spend a lot more time. And so, but it's best practice not to do a contract beyond the years that we're in office. So that's why it's just these 3 years.
If it's more the first year, that's the only thing I was concerned about. It's more the first year, that's what I thought, because there's a carryover, then the pricing is kind of counterintuitive, not saying it out, because it increases $250 a year. It seemed like the first year would be the most expensive as it gets easier for.
Yeah,
I think it's just inflation. Like predicting that it's gonna cost
Built in.
more.
Yeah, if we have time to wait tonight, then we can wait.
I support waiting
You
too,
guys can talk.
yeah.
Okay. All right, so we will take no action on that, and we'll bring that back next month.
The person is an NIU grad, so
Yeah.
that's nice.
And he does, I got his name from a township south of us that uses him, so
Oh.
he's very familiar with.
Am I looking at the right-
Township
Oh, him, yeah, because I'm looking at the resource manager,
Oh, okay.
who's a grad, NIU grad, master's degree in accounting, so. Probably
For
yourself.
now, they used to have a really great.
They did, yeah, they were one of the best, actually, in the nation. Yeah. My cousin's girlfriend quit her program just to come here. And even now, she
That was my
like,
original.
seriously, yeah.
Okay, so next we have approval of the minutes of the regular Board of Trustees meeting from February 9th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve those?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? There was just one thing, Andrew, that one change that I noted, and it was at the end on page 4, under other business, if you could change that to March 9th, 2022.
Sure.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Right.
Anyone opposed? And then the next thing in your board packet is next month, we have our 172nd annual town meeting. This, assuming they have one every year. And so at tonight's meeting, we approved that agenda. So that is in your packet. It's pretty standard. We did not receive any requests from the public to add any items to the agenda, So can I get a motion to approve the annual town meeting agenda for April 12th, 2022?
I will.
I'll second that. All those in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. No executive session, so next month is a little bit different. We're meeting on a Tuesday instead of a Wednesday. We will have our Board of Trustees regular meeting at 6 o'clock, and it can only last an hour because we're required to start the annual meeting at 7 o'clock. And if any board members or anyone in this room has a recommendation or would like to invite any members of the public here, we will be selecting a member from the audience to be the moderator. And so it's a way for the public to participate in that. Okay, so have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconds. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 7:29.